Alright, I did my 10 centimeters, if you want to see. Here's the top of the cuff and there is the bottom part. So now we're going to pick up 10 stitches for the heel. Usually when you knit a heel it's a quarter of the amount of stitches you have, but this is a child size sock. It's going to actually be a sock that's going to be a child size size 11. So I'm going to pick up 10 stitches for the heel. So I'm counting 10 stitches away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's over here. Put the needle into the 10th stitch. Pick up all the stitches before that. Because these stitches are so nice and big, the needle basically just slides on real nicely. So here are my 10 stitches. Take out the red string. And for 7 centimeters now, all you have to do is knit one row, and on the way you have to be purling. If you know how to knit, go ahead, do knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Always skip the first stitch at the beginning of your needle. And if you're done, wait for me at the end. I'm going to put this crochet hook in my sock here, so it's out of my way. If you don't know how to knit, I'll show you. We're going to slip the first stitch, and when you knit, you pick up the right needle, slides underneath the bottom needle into the stitch. It sits underneath. Your yarn is in the back. Do a yarn from the back to the front over your needle. Slide your needle through the stitch that you picked up. This is the string you just did as a yarn over. Slide off the stitch you finished. Pick up your stitch. I'm actually also picking up the stitch this way. Usually I knit this way. I can do it this way too. But because of the way the stitches are sitting on the needle, this is a bit easier. I'll just do it this way, and on the next time around I'll show you what I mean. Slip it in, needle is on the bottoms, yarn is in behind, yarn over, push it through, slip off. So there's 4 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and a 4. And that's all you have to do. Pick it up, yarn around. My knitting needle is relatively long. I like them that way. So the end of it is sitting underneath my armpit, and where it stays in place and it's secure. Maybe you like shorter knitting needles, and that's fine too. I knitted my first row. Turn your work around. Now we have to purl, because we want to keep the stitches the same. For purling, right needle is at work. The stitches are on the left needle, but your yarn has to sit on top of your needle. And we're going to pick up our stitch from the right to the left, in front of the left needle. Now it sits on an angle. Your right needle sits on top. Take your yarn, it goes from the front to the back and around. Use your right needle, push through the stitch, and now your needle is underneath, slide it off. Your yarn is still on top, knit, around, push it through, slide. Knit, around, push it through, slide. And I did not slip my first stitch, and I was supposed to. No worries, we'll do it next time. I'm going a little faster now. I think I'm not going to stop the video for this part. We're just going to keep knitting. It won't take me very long to knit 7 centimeters. Oops, I split the wool there. I split the wool here too. There we go. We finished that row. Turn your work around. Now we're back to knitting. Slip your first stitch. Work underneath. So now we're actually picking up this way. From the left to the right, because that's how my stitches are sitting. Needle is underneath, yarn around, through, over. In, around, through, over. In, around, through, over. I'm gonna go at my own speed now. If this is too fast for you, stop my video, knit your row, and then turn it around. We're going to purl again, string over top, slip your first stitch, which I forgot the first time, remember? In from the right to the left, needle is on top, yarn around, push through. Alright, so for the next few minutes, I want you to do these 2 rows. It's going to take you only 5 minutes or so. How many rows do we need? I'll find out. We only need to do 16. So we already did 4. Slip off the first one, okay? Now how do I know how many? I already made the other sock. So when this one is finished, we'll have 2 socks ready. And you got yourself a pair of slippers for a child size 11. Or a lady size 2. Which would be very small, lady size 2. Purling and knitting are the 2 basic stitches in knitting. If you've never knitted before and you are doing this for the first time and you're catching it, then it's like, oh, I can knit. And then you have conquered the majority of how to knit. Of course, there's different formations of knitting, as in stitch-wise. There's different manners of knitting. I'm knitting the European way. I have a friend who is European, but she knits slightly different and holds her needles different, and she says she knits the European way. So we get a laugh out of that one. I have seen people on the bus knitting, and it's amazing. Like, this is only one way, right? There's more than one way. So like people in the South America have a slightly different way. I am sure maybe the Asian nations have a slightly different way. So this is not right and this is not wrong. It's all what you're used to, and it's all what you've been taught, and it's all what you prefer. I'm already halfway, as you can see. So after this, we're going to turn the heel. And then the bulk part of your sock is already almost done. Now this is worsted 5, so it's very thick wool. I don't know if it would be wool that is way too thick to wear as a full sock into a pair of shoes. I don't know if it's comfortable or not, so this is therefore going to be a slipper. Wool that's like worsted 4 or 3, or like the Croy sock, which is even thinner, is definitely very good for wearing into a pair of shoes. And that's why I decided to make a pair of slippers. I'm going to be at a show this weekend too, so having some socks to sell as well as slippers will give a nice variety for people to choose from. There's a reason why you slip the first stitch every time you start a new needle in knitting. I will show you how it benefits you when you're making socks. When you make sweaters and you knit the front panel and then the back panel, when you slip the first stitch, you have a very nice edge that when you have to sew the pieces together, it's much easier to pick up the stitches to put your needle through, oh dear, than trying to find out where to put your needle in order to sew your panels together. The same with the sleeves. If you knit nice shoulder edges, sewing your garment together is much easier, and it gives a nicer finish. Okay, I'm going to measure and see how far we are. I have 7 centimeters. Oh no. Yep. So I'm going to put this needle aside. Now we're going to transfer the stitches on the needle back onto the knook needle. And I just pulled the loop here. I'll have to finish that later. So we're going to bypass, I'm going to make this longer. We're going to bypass this here. If you watched my previous videos on how to knook socks from the cuff down, this is exactly the same thing here. The only difference now is that we are going to knit, this is the bottom of the foot still. Now we're going to do the heel, that's the back of your heel, and we are going to reinforce that part by doing alternate slip, knit, slip, knit. So even when you take your stitches off your needle, you're going to start already. So slip off the first, knit the next, slip, knit, slip, knit, slip. You're transferring, right? Knit. You're transferring from your needle, slip, back onto the string, knit. Done. Needle goes away. I'm going to slide my stitches on. And now we're going to pick up the side edge of the heel. And the reason why you slip off your first stitch, as you can see, you have a very nice edge here. And that makes picking up stitches very easy. So find your needle. So there's two, like it looks like a V. In the past I have picked up just one. I have picked up the other, doesn't really matter. But I like both because it's just a little bit stronger. So pick it up, yarn over, pull through. Do this all the way to the back. Not to the back, to the bottom. One more. Alright. So now we're here again. We're in the corner of the sock where we have to start our decrease. You're using this stitch and you're using the first stitch that sits on your string. Knook it, yarn over through that stitch and the one that was on your needle. So we have decrease. You can see both stitches sitting here. Both these stitches now became only one stitch, so we decreased. Go all the way around. Going to the other side. I'm going to transfer because it's getting a bit crowded in my hand there. Pull the string. Oops, not that one. Here's the last one. I'm taking the red string off. We are now at the other corner. I'm going to transfer it actually. There. So keep this stitch on. Pick up your first V that's sitting here. Yarn over, pull through both. Okay, I didn't quite pick up the whole thing here. There we go. Yarn over and over that one. Now go to the top. I'm starting to lose it out there, so I just lengthen it again. One more stitch. I'm going to transfer, and we're all the way around. We're connected again. So the first time I did the top 10 stitches, I skipped one, knit one, skipped one, knit one. So we're going to still do that, but on alternate rows. This row now needs to be completely knooked. Pick up your first stitch, the one that you slipped earlier, and knook it. Knook each and every stitch. Oops, picked that one up wrong. Here we are. I will go one more round around with you guys, and then I'll have you work on your own till we are finished shaping the heel, and then I'll give you the instructions on how to go about the cuff, and we're done. So we're going back down the side of the sock. I want you to stop one stitch before the initial decrease you did. How can you tell where that is? You can find a little bumpy here, and this is the one stitch before. My hands are full, so I'm going to transfer. There. Pull it gently. Now, we went, if you will, we went down the heel, right? So when you go, if you need a clue, when you go down the heel, you stop one stitch before the decrease. Knook it. Knook the stitch you decreased before and pull it through both. See that? Now we're going around the front of the foot. This is going to be the front of the foot going up. I never thought of putting music on in the background. Oh well, my son is making enough noise downstairs and he's got music on, should you be able to hear it. He broke his leg 2 weeks ago, actually it's now nearly 3 weeks ago, so he's homebound. But he's in a walking cast, so he can do things. And he's remodeling or cleaning up right now. Okay, we are gone around. Here's the corner. We're going up the side of the heel now. So you want to stop right at the stitch that you did the last time in your decrease. You can see how there's a little bump. Knit that one first. Then knit the one after that you haven't done yet. And decrease on both. So the way it works, when you go up the heel, you have to decrease these stitches. I keep saying heel. When you go up the heel, you have to decrease these stitches. When you go down the heel, you have to decrease these stitches, but you're going that direction. Alright, so if you understand that, keep going until you're back to 26 stitches again.